Welcome to the AI Hustle Podcast, the podcast where we break down the latest in AI news, tools, and interview experts helping you hustle and do more using AI. If you've been following the podcast for a while, you'll know that over the last 6 months, I've been working on a stealth AI startup. Of the hundreds of projects I've covered, this is the one that I believe has the greatest potential. So today I'm excited to announce AIBox. AIBox is a no-code AI app building platform paired with the App Store for AI that lets you monetize your AI tools. The platform lets you build apps by linking together AI models like ChatGPT, Midjourney, and 11 Labs. Eventually will integrate with software like Gmail, Trello, and Salesforce, so you can use AI to automate every function in your organization. To get notified when we launch and be one of the first to build on the platform, you can join the waitlist at aibox.ai. The link is in the show notes. We are currently raising a seed round of funding. If you're an investor that is focused on disruptive tech, I'd love to tell you more about the platform. You can reach out to me at jaden@aibox.ai. I'll leave that email in the show notes. Since the launch of ChatGPT, OpenAI has made it pretty apparent that a big, focus for them is trust and safety, yada, yada, making sure their AI model is safe. But despite that, a lot of different organizations and people have called for bans on ChatGPT or urged investigations into it. A new group has recently urged more investigations into OpenAI and ChatGPT, and so we are going to talk about that on the podcast today. So what is happening now is that the European Consumer Organization, or the BEUC, has joined this, I guess you could call it, chorus of concerns about ChatGPT. And of course other artificial intelligence chatbots, but obviously ChatGPT gets all of the spotlight since they're the first and kind of the biggest. But in any case, this new commission is calling on the EU consumer protection agencies to investigate the technology and the potential harm to individuals. Now, this is something we've seen a lot, mostly out of Europe, to be honest, right? We saw Italy completely ban ChatGPT for privacy reasons. Essentially, they said it's against their country's privacy rules. If ChatGPT used any data created by an Italian to train on it, then it would get banned. So they banned it. And it's kind of interesting. We see this a lot out of Europe. A lot of different European commissions are investigating OpenAI and ChatGPT. And this is traditionally how a lot of these privacy rules in big tech have gone, right? We have, a lot of big ones that came out of the UK, that GDPR and whatnot out of Europe. That really have changed a lot of things about privacy online, and so a lot of companies have just kind of followed those rules for all of their for everyone, because they are coming. So it's going to be interesting to see what sway the EU has on Microsoft and OpenAI and ChatGPT and all of that. But in any case, because essentially, obviously, OpenAI is becoming super popular, we're seeing not just Microsoft dive in, but we have Google working on their chatbot, so this affects them. We have Amazon that recently announced they have a whole bunch of AI tools built into their AWS cloud division. And it's kind of interesting because I recently saw an article from Reuters saying that every major tech company is getting into the race. I think a lot of news organizations are perhaps overhyping this, which is probably contributing to a lot of these different consumer protection groups and the EU and stuff doing investigations. They're worried oh man, it's just OpenAI and ChatGPT now, but pretty soon it's going to be everyone. And so they're kind of trying to get everything lined up now. In reality, I think Reuters, I was saying, they've recently said Amazon is going to compete with ChatGPT, blah, 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 and looking into it. Essentially, they're just hosting Anthropic and other AI models on their AWS backend. So definitely not the same thing at all. But yeah, and they're and Meta's going to do something. I don't know. There's going to be a lot of different people in the race, but I do think that ChatGPT, OpenAI have a really competitive advantage. They have a really good thing built for them, and it's going to be hard for other people to catch up. I don't know if sounding the alarm is going to be super helpful at this moment. But in any case, the BEUC, the BEUC, it's pretty much an umbrella group of 46 consumer organizations from about 32 countries, set out its worries in separate letters earlier this month to the Network of Consumer Safety Authorities, which is the CSN network. And actually their main concern is that ChatGPT can give out false information. So it's kind of interesting. We've seen different concerns from people. We've seen the whole privacy risk. We've seen the whole it's trained on our personal data kind of concern out of Italy and whatnot. So now we're seeing the whole it's not perfectly accurate, which is pretty interesting. A lot, obviously this thing has been dubbed like a research kind of product, and we know it's kind of like being worked on in beta, and I feel like they have a lot of disclaimers on the information. So it is pretty interesting that this is the big thing that they're pushing. But it's kind of interesting too, because they said specifically that it's deceptive advertising. So that's the angle they're taking at it. And they said that, young consumers and children are more vulnerable to the risk of getting false information from here, which is pretty interesting. And it's also, to be fair, as we see companies like Khan Academy integrating this into their educational products for children who are learning, I think it is an interesting concept to be aware of, whether or not, this is super accurate or not, and what kind of, how they're kind of approaching that. So their specific statement, they said, is the BEUC thus asks you to investigate the risks that these AI systems pose to consumers as a matter of urgency, to identify their presence in consumer markets, and to explore what remedial action must be taken to avoid consumer harm. So essentially, they also called to start an exchange of information and an investigation into the safety of the products. That's something that people have always been talking about, so I don't think that's anything new. But it's going to be really interesting to see how this kind of new angle unfolds, right? The whole, protect children from fake information goes. And this just piles on to a whole slew of other regulatory people that are currently, investigating them. And it's kind of interesting because, when you think about it, what's the outcome? I'm sure that they will be penalized in Europe by a bunch of commissions. Will that be good? Will different countries ban them? I'm not 100% sure. But at the end of the day, what is really the outcome? Perhaps different countries lose access to ChatGPT. Perhaps it becomes less powerful. Personally, I don't really see this as being a massive positive for a lot of these countries that are heavily investigating. But maybe there will be some sort of benefits that come out of this, maybe some sort of good regulations for AI. So I think that is left to be seen, and we're going to have to watch the space to see how that continues to unfold. If you are looking for an innovative and creative community of people using ChatGPT, you need to join our ChatGPT creators community. I'll drop a link in the description to this podcast. We'd love to see you there, where we share tips and tricks of what is working in ChatGPT. It's a lot easier than a podcast, as you can see screenshots, you can share and comment on things that are currently working. So if this sounds interesting to you, check out the link in the comment. We'd love to have you in the community. Thanks for tuning in to the AI Hustle podcast. If you could do us a massive favor, we would really, really appreciate it if you could leave us a review wherever you get your podcasts. This helps people find the podcast. It helps people know this is a good place to go. And we would really, really appreciate it, as it helps us continue to bring on incredible guests and share incredible content for you to listen to.